Finance is the oldest industry in the world, and we're disrupting its future. Welcome to Fearless Impact. I'm Molony Cook, COO and co-founder of Dealflow Exchange, a private capital ecosystem redefining how money moves and who gets to raise it. Let me take you on a journey of building the next unicorn while breaking into the boys' club of deal making. Julie, welcome to Fearless Impact. We're in New York City with my favorite Australian. How are you?
Great. And thanks for having me. It's so great to see you.
I know. It's nearly been what, 8 months?
Yep. Yeah.
So, fun fact, Julie and I met at my first ever event in New York in Wall Street. And you were just a ray of sunshine. I remember meeting you and just being like, this woman felt like a little piece of home, obviously being an immigrant. And I was so grateful because not only did we have an amazing conversation, yourself, Jesse, and I, just around, everything to do with growing a company and the HR elements, but also like you came and you supported me at my first event that I threw in New York. And I feel like just having you there, I was like, okay, I'm fine. Julie's here.
Oh, that's so sweet. It definitely felt a connection. And honestly, when you came into the room at that first event that we were involved with, I sponsored, I heard the accent and I was like to one of my colleagues, she's Australian. I gotta go. So yay to the immigrants.
Yeah. And how long have you been in New York for, Julie?
18 years, moved here in 2007 from Sydney, Elizabeth Bay to be exact, eastern suburbs. Yay.
We love eastern suburbs.
Yes, we do. And if you know, you know.
Exactly. And how did you get into the startup ecosystem?
Well, I've always been really curious. The builders, people solving problems, have always been, a passion of mine. I love bold moves. And through my work with TriNet, that supports startups, founders, ecosystem, it allows me to get out and get into that. So when I started really getting into the community 3 years ago, I really felt like that's where my passion is, and I can help founders. Also, we have, the large network of VCs. So able to do that connecting as well. And yeah, it's just been a great experience for me.
And I'm curious, what is something that you see when you're meeting a founder? What are some of the attributes and qualities that you're like, okay, I really think that this is going to be an incredible journey for this entrepreneur?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I saw it in you, Ella. It's the excitement, the innovation, also the belief, right? And how they explain the problem they're solving, who their target market is. But just really their investment, and where they found that gap and niche in the market. So yeah, and there's a lot of founders out there, and weaving through seas of them sometimes can be somewhat overwhelming, but they definitely stand out. The ones that have got it right. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like New York is such a fun ecosystem to be a part of because there's always something happening. And I feel like we talk about this a lot of like finding the right, ecosystem to support is also can be a little bit challenging. How do you kind of navigate building your events out?
yeah. It's incredibly challenging, and that's what I keep in mind. I do have a passion for underrepresented founders and communities, and creating a voice for them to be heard and getting access to investors. And again, I've been fortunate through the company that I work for. They're deeply embedded in the startup and VC community. So we're able to curate events where it is a lot of matchmaking. We have the right people in the room, where founders, get access to opportunities. And even if those opportunities are mentoring or just feedback, that's where I have a lot of pride in being able to get those groups together. Um, yeah, there is a lot out there. There's a lot of events, and it's almost saturated, right? There's a lot of lists is a lot of people creating events, and that's their thing to build into their services. I tend to steer away from that. I'm really about supporting founders and making sure that they get access, as they scale.
Yeah, I love that. And time is so precious for everyone. And I think that if you're intentional around how you curate the events and you actually are selective and you make it a little bit more quality over quantity, then you really can have that beautiful impact of the aftermath, which I think you do a really incredible job at. And especially, it is hard sometimes out there because
Yeah.
you want to believe the best in everyone, but sometimes you need to make sure that you have the right partners involved, and saying no can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I've become better at that, right?
Yeah.
I see myself as a steward and a facilitator. I stick to to the vision that I have and bringing value to the founders. But also when we partner, with co-sponsors or facilitating events to make sure that there's alignment there as well. Um, for many founders, it's hard to get into these rooms.
It is.
I open doors, but I make sure that I'm opening the right doors with the right people. So,
Mhm.
and we've been able to build quite a strong community in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the most rewarding part for you with working with early stage and high growth founders?
Yeah. There's so many, but most definitely, when they get traction, those calls. Oh, I've got my first hire, or I just got funded, or those are super exciting for me. And just being there through that journey, I feel, is a true honor, but also, to be part of that and steadily, be there for them as they grow. It's just super exciting. I live off them. I live off their energy. And, founders are doing really brave and hard things, right? So it's not an easy road. There's a lot of zigzagging. And, I'm just grateful to be part of that support system.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that you are such a good business bestie in a sense. Like you are there. Like I think like there are some people that are in your world, whether that's competitors or just other services, right?
Sure.
That they're only there for that specific vertical. But you're really a woman that you have your hands in multiple pies, and you're providing access not only to capital, not only to resources, but you're just, for me, you were that person that I was like, I feel safe with Julie. And that's why ultimately I was so excited to reach back out. I feel like for us at Deal Flow Exchange, it's been such an intense journey, plus obviously immigration.
Yep.
It's hard.
Yep.
And so now that that's behind me, I'm like, okay, now I can really get back into building my ecosystem in New York. And I'm just so grateful to have you along for this journey.
Oh, Ella, it's an absolute pleasure. Honestly, I'm here in your corner, cheerleader. And you brought a lot of value to me as well. With introductions as well as you build out your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I just love watching, and anything that I can do to support, that I'm here.
And I think it's so fun, especially like as women, like we have to support each other. Like this is a men's dominated world that we play in, and anything that we can do to push each other forward, like that's what I want to be about. And that's what I want this podcast, Fearless Impact, is to support the underrepresented.
Yeah.
And I think that there is so many incredible programs and resources now, but it doesn't mean that it gets any easier for us.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definitely a long way to go.
Yeah.
But there's a community out there, once you tap into it,
Yeah.
that are really invested, in underrepresented and female focused. There's a lot of generosity. So it's just about getting those doors open and building, and also being a trusted partner, yeah. Going in without an agenda.
Yes.
That's
100%.
Yeah, and founders remember that, and so do funders as well. Like if you're going in there without an agenda to help, to be part of the support, and there's great groups of women out there in the ecosystem. VCs, eco partners, and also founders. that have been there and are happy to facilitate.
And I also think just like if you are building your ecosystem from scratch, like have a give first mentality, whether it's like even someone that I met the other day, they were learning about independent sponsors and M&A. And I was like, I have a program. Like, yeah, I'm not meant to share my details, but I did because I was like, if this can help you have a little bit more clarity, I'm glad that I can provide that access for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's that ripple effect, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And also, I just feel like in a world where there's so much taking, it's like you will stand out if you give.
Yeah. Yeah. And also do the due diligence, you
Yeah.
know.
We just were speaking about that. DD is critical.
Yeah. Protect the energy, protect where you're investing, that giving, and that does come with experience and being in the right circles. I've had a lot of women help me in New York City, and it's important to me to give back also, especially to founders, and pay it forward.
Yeah, I 100% agree. What's your honest take on how DFX supports those who are not focused on raising or deploying capital?
Yeah. So, I mean, we met a year ago. I came into the DFX platform, and shame on me for not continuing. But yesterday, when I was in the DFX platform and the community, I was completely blown away.
Yeah. And Julie's referring to, we have this thing called the networking power hour.
Yeah, it was, I popped in there and I went, oh my gosh. And maybe it's a great time for me to have been there at the start and then pop in yesterday. But the community that DFX is building was really apparent to me. And I could see quite clearly yesterday, it's built by founders. You've been there, you've done that, you know the gaps in the support system in the communities. You've lived it. And what I felt yesterday, like a feeling of empathy, in the platform, a feeling of connection and collaboration, was really exciting. It's not just a get in there, show up, pitch, and leave. It was really that sense of community was just, I have to say I was super excited.
I love that because I feel like we've evolved so much. Like when I first met you, I literally had just pitched myself to Jesse. So my entire goal of, helping and supporting the DFX ecosystem was humanizing the platform.
Right.
To make sure that, whatever side of the table on, whether you're a founder, a service provider, or, on the funding side, I wanted to have a place where you could be able to jump in and be able to network no matter where you are in the world, which I think is really important. But then as we're scaling out these hyper location communities, it's really exciting to have, amazing, incredible people like yourself to be able to support the next generation of founders that they need this ecosystem in order to, A, I feel like to stay mentally sane, but B, also, I feel like it's a great way for us as an ecosystem to be like, yes, the capital raising is a part of our platform, but community is first.
Yeah, yeah. And I certainly felt that yesterday.
Yeah.
And I see that with you and Jesse as well, the way that, the interactions that we have, which is why I'm here, right?
And I'm going to go into a different kind of style of the podcast. I'm going to go into rapid fire questions. Now, what I love about you especially is your ability to really not only to be in the networking scene, but make really strong connections. And so I'm curious, what has been the best follow-up process you've seen from an in-person event?
Yeah, it's a simple one, but one that's super overlooked is that a founder reached out within 24 hours, gave a recap of our conversation, also next steps, and then even offered some introduction. So what that said to me is there was a connection. They value the connection. They were listening. It's authentic. It's based on, really that outreach was based on the connection that we had at the event. And yeah, it really stood out to me and speaks to who I am as well. I think it's really important to be authentic. It's important to give. Yeah, we all want to get somewhere in life, but you can't do it alone. So that's what I felt with the founder when they reached out. It was just, really, yeah, really touched my heart and was just, yeah, made a lot of sense.
I totally agree. I think the 24-hour period, if you leave it too long, it's like, who was that person? That's the other hack that I use is always taking selfies. So I'll send the selfie so that they like, oh, I remember Ella.
Yeah, that's great. Now I would definitely, yes.
Just not Julie style, but
No, but I mean, that would definitely stand out to me as well. And
Right.
also, listen, it's not always it's not always possible to remember everyone's name, but their face, absolutely. Right? And
Exactly.
it's at first impressions. And are you having eye contact? Is there a connection? So, it's like almost like pinging that emotion. That's a great, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great way. And, I think it's authentic.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's actually how I got into Founder Institute Accelerator is I took a selfie with Serafina, who runs the LA chapter. And I just reached out to her, but I kept on pinging her. And every time I pinged her, she saw the photo again. And she was like, the photo really helped you remember like who you are. And I was like, okay, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious, what's one thing that DFX could add to the 2.0 version to make your role easier?
So uh, maybe the database by vertical, by geography, with the last interaction, maybe with the ask, the purpose, just to take that offline energy that we have onto the platform so that there's a flow to the connectivity. Yeah, I think that would be one that would pop for me. Again, it's sort of like the photo thing that you send is like, where did I connect or what are they looking for? Where in the world, can we support each other? So
I think the other thing that I was thinking of today when we were chatting was service to service provider introductions from a founder.
yeah, that would, yeah,
Like you can put what I'm thinking for the 2.0 version of our platform is if I put you in touch with a CPA, but the AI actually built out a really quality introductions of you understanding both where you're located, what you're passionate about, and you fill that out obviously in your bio when you sign up to DFX.
yeah,
But then I can come in and actually it prompts it for me, but then I add in my special source of why I think this connection is valuable for both of you. That alone takes us at Deal Flow Exchange when we're making introductions. Like it's a lot of work
yeah,
to make intros.
yeah. It is a lot of work. And it's something I'm not saying that founders aren't good at. It's not on top of their radar, right?
Exactly.
Because they're looking and as they should be.
Of course.
So yeah, and there's probably people in their network that are supporting them, service providers that would be a great match for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep thinking about that. I'm like, there needs to be more accessibility of like from service providers knowing like what other service providers you want to work with and what you don't. So that when, founders are thinking of Julie, like I can go into your profile and it says, okay, best introductions for me is XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it is top of mind because it's like, oh, okay, I can now help out Julie, but you don't have to have that ask.
Yeah.
It's just on your profile.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I would love to see that. And I haven't seen that. So
No, so this is
yeah.
what this interview is actually about is helping us identify features for the 2.0 version that we're currently building.
Yeah.
So that when we launch it in July, we've met with our partners that we trust and we respect
Yeah.
to make sure that we think about things from their perspective.
Yeah. 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 I haven't seen that anywhere, Ellen, to be honest. So not sure if you want to say that on the podcast. Joking.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We don't compete with anyone. We partner with everyone. So I love you though.
Yeah.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend DFX to another service provider and why?
I'd say 9 today. And that's definitely from my experience yesterday and knowing, that there are additional tools and tweaks coming down the pipeline. The reason is the DFX has built a community. And it's a community that's, it's not about the deal flow, right? It's not about deploying or, getting access to capital. It's an ecosystem where there is collaboration between eco partners, founders, investors. And that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being in that room yesterday, there was someone in there from Germany. I'm like, wow, I've just missed out on maybe 6 to 8 months of, meeting really great people. I've connected with someone in Atlanta, Boston already, just from, and these are just conversations. And the more people the more, it's so that's why I would, definitely recommend. I just think it's a great community and it's only going to get better.
I appreciate you. And I definitely agree that the networking power hour, especially as we niche them down into verticals and geographies, like our one that you joined is global and it's great. But I think as we grow, I'm really excited to really have, as we were mentioning, that speaker spot at the start and then the networking power hour and topics and intentions for networking is something that we're ultimately just going to keep continually getting better at. So I'm excited to see how those calls evolve because even if you're on there, right, just for meeting a couple of people, you never know where those conversations can go.
100%, and who you can help,
Exactly.
and connect with. And, another thing that I'm really impressed with and it's exciting for me is Jesse and yourself, you're asking lots of questions. There feedback. There's ideas that are pinging, and what if we do? How do? So you're listening, and you're focused on building the best community. With the feedback from the community, and yeah, that I think is just super exciting. Where DFX is going to go again. Another reason that I would definitely recommend
Julie,
jumping in.
you are the best. I absolutely love you. If you're ever in New York City, you're a founder, a service provider, an investor, you have to meet Julie. And the reason why I say this is not just because you're incredible at what you do, but you're genuine. And I think that, it's sometimes, not saying that it's sometimes hard to find, but like it can, especially just in this ecosystem that we're in. I am so grateful for you and thank you for joining us on the Fearless Impact podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Ella. Thanks for inviting me. I feel really honored and I'm super excited.
Yeah.